Sith and the Jedi are similar in almost every way, including their quest for greater power.
He is lying. This is how the Sith Lord Chancellor Palpatine operates. One truth and a few lies bundled together, one clouding the other. Yes, the Jedi and the Sith of Star Wars both seek greater strength in the Force, and both clearly desire the political influence to shape the galaxy in a way that suits their interests, but they are not alike. The differences are too many, and this video is going to give you the most important difference between the Jedi and the Sith and explain why that matters to you in the real world. So let's begin. People everywhere live differently. Some live in the suburbs. Some live in downtown apartments. Others exit society and choose to live off the grid. Some live by religion, and others completely reject it. But everyone has one thing in common. They want freedom. The person living in a cabin in the middle of nowhere and the urbanite downtown are both living differently, but for the purpose of seeking freedom in their own way. This is what fundamentally separates the Jedi and the Sith, and it colors all of their actions and multiplies their differences. Rival schools of philosophy have debated for thousands of years what it means to be free, and if we even possess free will at all to shape our futures. The philosophers Plato and Aristotle once held a discourse on free will, after Plato posited that the human condition from birth is to be enslaved to our passions. That can mean our most basic desires and inclinations. Think food, drink, sex, anger, and the desire for control. Wisdom and liberation from these natural vices, Plato thought, came from the mastery of those things.
Control, control, you must bring control.
You subjugate them before they subjugate you. That is freedom. The Jedi Order embodies this kind of stoic, monk-like notion that Plato is articulating. They viewed attachments, passions, and emotion as forces that make it harder for Jedi to think clearly and make rational choices, or to follow the will of the Force. So, they would try to abstain from those things, so as to be free of their pull and their influence. Now, some passions come baked into us from birth. Sex drive comes hardwired in for 99% of us, and we all have to eat to survive. But what kind of food is going to fulfill our appetites? What kind of sex? I like to use the analogy of smoking and the challenge of wrestling with a nicotine addiction.
You want to buy some death sticks?
R2-D2, you found a cigarette!
You don't know what that fight is like until you're hooked on nicotine. And if you don't ever try smoking, you're not going to have that problem.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Refusing to ever touch a cigarette means that you're not going to have to feel that pain of addiction dragging you outside in a snowy night to smoke during your child's championship basketball game.
I want to be free of this pain.
The same goes for alcohol or any other addictive behavior. You can't feel the anxiety of addiction to social media if you've never had an Instagram or Twitter account. So abstaining does guard a certain part of your freedom. That's one less thing warring for control over your thoughts. And there are a lot of things warring for control over your thoughts. Free will, so it goes, is enhanced by limiting your range of choices in life. You have the power for a certain time to take things off the menu for yourself. Here's the Jedi code. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force. The Sith believe the opposite. The menu that I mentioned should be as large as possible, and you aren't free until you've had it all and can have it whenever you want it. They believe that our lives come with the chains of oppression built in, and that we're stuck in a sort of spiritual slavery born into the service of others. Now, those others may be employers, they may be parents, they may be teachers, or in the case of Anakin Skywalker, an actual slave owner. Their idea is to break the chains of life by indulging your every desire. No restraint, only consumption. The hunger is good. It just means that you haven't yet had the thing that makes you feel whole. And so let's look at the Sith code. Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The Force shall free me. The chains are everything and everywhere to the Sith. They hate them. Consider Darth Bane, one of the most consequential Sith in Star Wars lore, who in the book Path of Destruction is shown meditating on the chains that he wanted to break, and they will sound familiar to you. An abusive father, grueling shifts working in the mines, debts owed to a faceless and ruthless corporation, he said. He even views friends as chains. You pour effort and resources into friendships, but they are just a, quote, burden, Bane says. Power is the answer to these problems. He mentioned debts owed to a corporation. Well, credit card companies can't collect your debts if you destroy them first. Your dad can't hurt you anymore if you're more powerful than him, and friends cannot let you down if you dispense with your natural desire for friendship, something that a Sith would view as a weakness. The Sith view the Force as a tool that they can use to pick the locks on their chains or to bash them open. The Force is a weapon and the means to an end. This is perfectly captured by the Sith ritual of bleeding kyber crystals. Palpatine, or Darth Sidious, make this clear when he points out that kyber crystals are naturally attuned to the light side of the Force. That is their nature. They can only go red after you've broken their natural will, after you've asserted power over them. Freedom in the Sith mind is absolute power. Freedom is not relying on handouts or freebies. It's having the power to take what you want when you want it. Now, the Jedi, of course, they aim to be servants of the Force. They aren't perfect at this, but that's their way of life. They listen, they abide, and they surrender to the Force's direction in their lives. For them, the Sith's hunger for more is an enslavement of its own kind. The Jedi and the Sith have little in common besides being imperfect. I work in political media. That's my world that I'm familiar with. And there's a saying that I hear often in politics, which is that your opponents try to trip you up by accusing you of the thing that they are doing. It's projection. The Sith view everything in terms of power dynamics, and they can't imagine what the heart of a Jedi is actually like. And the best of the Jedi sincerely do not crave the power that they crave. Anakin was a prime target for this manipulation because of how far that he had seen the Jedi fall during the Clone Wars. Now, this channel is about applying these lessons to your real life. We go a step beyond Star Wars analysis at Geeky Stoics by taking this stuff seriously. So if you're into that, you should subscribe and like this video. What I've come to believe in my life is that what truly sets you free is freedom from want and some form of self-mastery over your weaknesses. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who lived half of his life as an actual slave, spoke about this in his lectures around Rome, and Epictetus taught his students this: that our master is anyone who has the power to implement or prevent the things that we want or don't want. Whoever wants to be free, therefore, should wish for nothing that is up to other people. Failing that, one is bound to be a slave. I'll translate that for simplicity. Our master is anyone who has the power to give and take away. We are not free if we actively seek out things that must be given to us by the grace of another person or by fate. That's why my heart breaks for Anakin Skywalker. Like Epictetus, he was a slave. He longed for self-determination and the power to control his own life, and Darth Sidious used that against him cruelly by trapping him in yet another form of slavery. If you want to be free, you need to not want things that are up to other people. Don't crave for a large house if you can't afford a large house in cash, because to get that HGTV home, you'll be owned by the bank that finances it for a long time. The Jedi partake in less of the world's pleasures because they don't want to be compromised when the Force leads them toward a certain decision or calling that may be difficult. The fewer attachments they have, the fewer debts, vices, or needs that they have developed, they can more closely serve the Force and its needs and what it is calling on them to do in service of others. The Sith don't serve anybody but themselves. They don't have to be concerned with this. But you and I do, because we live in the real world. We need to be concerned about these things. You can't hurt over an addiction that you haven't developed. You can't be buried by the interest on a loan that you never took out. You can't be controlled by anyone if you insist on making your own way in this world, free of the permission or approval of others. This is easier said than done, but it is worth striving for, because your freedom is at stake.